in America's Pacific Northwest. But a surprising storm is brewing, invisible to the naked eye. Deep within the Earth, titanic forces are building towards a catastrophe. A mega quake.
Throughout the Central California coast, homes and highways had collapsed. Towns and cities, both inland and along the coast of Monterey Bay, suffered widespread damage. Farther north, at the tip of the San Francisco Peninsula and just across the bay, the shaking caused heavy damage and left residents terrified.
It's going to blow people's minds.
It will be a disaster, much larger than Katrina.
You're talking about something that's tens of thousands of times the size of any earthquake we've seen.
The coastline is moving faster than the land further inland, causing the North American plate to buckle. A 1,000-kilometer strip is being squeezed.
The crust is getting compressed, literally just like a spring. And when the fault that's driving all of this compression then breaks, that it will be the earthquake, then the spring unloads and everything launches back.
The locked zone between the plates releases, and suddenly and without warning, a chunk of land the size of Ireland lurches more than 10 meters. Both the land underfoot and the waters out to sea roil and pitch with fury.
If you're in downtown Seattle and the earthquake happens, you will find that you have moved towards the southwest between, say, 3 and 5 meters. And if you're out on the coast, you'll find you've also moved to the southwest, but probably more like 5 to 10 meters.
Land along the coast, pushed up by the fault over 3 centuries, collapses. As the plates break free, it may also unleash one of the most devastating events, a tsunami.
It causes the water above that seafloor to be lifted up, and then it collapses under its own weight and flows toward land and across the Pacific Ocean.
The tsunami could be as high as 15 meters, tall enough to wipe entire towns off the map. The Cascadia fault line is beginning to reveal the titanic forces at play. But one question remains. Many are at work in the high-rises and old brick buildings susceptible to collapse. Thousands more are enjoying the beach. Just off the coast of Northern California, the megaquake suddenly begins.
The rupture starts perhaps at one end of the fault and ruptures to the other end, tearing like a zipper. Goes at about 3 kilometers a second on average.
As North America jolts upwards, it generates the tsunami. At 1,000 kilometers an hour, it will take 4 hours to hit Hawaii and 8 hours to swamp Japan. Hopefully, most there will reach higher ground. In North America, it isn't the tsunami that arrives first, but the powerful seismic waves, hurtling through the Earth at 11,000 kilometers an hour.
There will be no warning. People will know that an earthquake hit when the ground starts to shake.
It's going to blow people's minds. It's going to be strong shaking like nobody's ever felt before.
Bridges collapse. The ground sinks. In less than 2 minutes, the first waves hit Portland, Oregon. Those in the city's historic buildings do not have much time. Hundreds, if not thousands, could be caught in these old buildings. Less than 30 seconds later, the first waves reach Seattle. The violent shaking is only the beginning for Cascadia's largest city.
You might get half a minute of just sort of low-level shaking. Then the ground shaking might begin to build on you.
The city's deep soil traps the waves and amplifies them.
If you were in a tall building, the building would start to sway quite a lot.
The shaking has gone on for more than 2 long minutes. Fires erupt across the region.
There could be thousands of landslides.
3.5 minutes in, some skyscrapers begin to suffer catastrophic damage.
Most steel buildings will begin to fracture the welds. In the case of concrete, they'll start to get cracks in the concrete elements.
Some may collapse. It seems like an eternity, but after 5.5 minutes, the ground finally stops shaking. The survivors in the cities evacuate. They've just endured one of the Earth's most violent events. But for those on the coast, the worst is yet to come.
Get ready to run to high ground. If you're in a low-lying area, you need to get inland.
It takes 20 minutes after the shaking stops for the first massive wave to hit Oregon.
It's not just one wave, it's a series of waves that will continue to come for many hours and possibly a day.
When it ends, 3 major cities are virtually cut off. Many kilometers of coastline are wiped from the map. Thousands of buildings are permanently damaged or destroyed. More than 1 million are homeless. In Oregon alone, as many as 5,000 are dead.
This is what we think is a low estimate, and that number can go up.